How's everybody doing?
Amazing.
Great. That's great, Olivia. Samira, can I ask you to turn your camera on, please? It's just us. There's no one else. Perfect. Thank you. Great.
The computer, so it may look like off because I'm watching you on this screen and then the camera's on this.
Oh, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Let's just so that I see who I'm talking to, right? Because there's a lot of names in the school, and sometimes the names don't mean much to me, but your face does. So that's good. So at least I know who's here. So we just finished the French theory, which was the same as what you're going to be doing tonight. But there's a lot of people in the French theory, and there's usually much less in the English theory. So, but it doesn't matter. We're enough to do it. As long as I've got one student on, we're doing it. So that's great. I'm glad to see you guys, you girls, here tonight. Okay. So we will be doing theory together. It's a theory class is basically the one that I'm offering is for all levels, all ages, all levels, but we are going to be starting with beginner. So it may be a little bit easy for some of you tonight. Probably will be, and that's okay. But in the coming weeks, it'll get harder and harder because obviously we're going to be learning more and more. So that should be good, okay? Who knows what theory is? Can anybody explain what theory is, music theory? Anybody have an idea what you're doing here tonight? What are you going to be learning? I don't have my instrument out. I'm sitting in my office. I don't see you guys behind your piano or your guitar. Amira, can you turn your camera on, please? I would really appreciate if you could have your camera on. Oh, I think she's still connecting to the audio, so she probably doesn't even hear. There we go, and we'll let another. So music theory is basically the understanding of the language of music, the understanding of the notation. So basically, when you're looking at the alphabet or words, the words are made up of the alphabet. So with letters, and those are what, form the words. Words form the stories when you use them and you create with them. Okay, so theory is a little bit the same way. It's understanding what the notes are and being able to then create with them or play, use them to make your music. And it goes a little bit further than just the notes. It's actually all of the symbols. And then eventually it kind of leads to how we put those together to be able to create. Okay. Amira, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to put your camera on or else I will have to kick you off the call. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. But I need to know who I'm speaking to and I need to know who's on here. So I'll give you a couple seconds to get figured out there. And if not, unfortunately, I will have to. And I don't want to do that because I think everybody can profit from being here. Okay. And just so you know, maybe mommy's worried because we're recording, but really I'm recording myself and anything that's going to be going out will not have your face on it and it will not have your name on it. Okay. So I do respect your privacy in that way, but to be on the call here, I need to know who I'm speaking to, okay? Who's on the call? Okay, hello. Okay, perfect. So let's get started, okay? So we're gonna start at the beginning, like I said, and that's it. So let me just remove Amira. And there we go. What happened? Let me just get that off. And here we go. There we go. Perfect. So let's get started. I've got this little document that I'm going to use. So let me just find that and get that going for you so that it'll be easier for you to see what we're doing. Okay, just a sec here. So I do not need this. I've got the dog that's next to me and he's crying away. He's so excited. So let me just share my screen here. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So tonight, let's start quick by looking at notes and rhythms. Okay, so these are notes that you have probably already encountered in your lesson. So they're pretty simple, right? We've got the quarter note, we've got the half note, the dotted half note, and the whole note. So let's start by looking at these four tonight. They're pretty simple, but you're going to see why we're looking at them in detail a little bit more. So the note, per se, any note, is made up of two parts. It's got the stem. So here, the quarter note, half note, dotted half note, they all have stems, but the whole note does not. So this is not a mistake. If you're new to your music lessons, this is not a mistake. This is really just an oval, and that's a note just all on its own. It stands there, and it's allowed to exist without a stem. And the other more important part of the note is the head of the note. So the head of the note is the most important because it's going to determine what the name of the note is. So is it a do, a re, a mi, or perhaps you're doing letter names? Is it a C, a D, an E? You know, it's also, if you look at it, you notice that it's either black or white. So it's also going to determine its value. So very important part, okay, the head. And this one does, the whole note does have the head, it just does not have the stem. So let's look at a note that's got a stem. So here I've got a half note and it's got a stem on it. So when the note is right side up with the head down here, the stem is always on the right and it's always facing up, a little bit like letter D. However, you know that sometimes you've also seen that the notes can be upside down with the head all the way up. Well, in that case, the stem is on the left facing downward, like the letter P. So right side up like letter D, upside down like letter P. It is never like a letter B. So you cannot draw a note like this. It's unacceptable, okay? It doesn't exist in music. And you can't do letter Q either. This doesn't exist either. Okay, so very important to know that. Because sometimes when we start drawing notes, we don't realize that there's a reason and a direction for the note, but there actually is. So these would be wrong, but these are okay. So if the stem's on the right, it goes, if the stem goes up, it goes on the right. If the stem goes down, it goes on the left. So let's do this quick. So your turn. Take your pen. Do you all have a pencil with you? A pencil, a paper? Hopefully you do. Okay, great. So let's try this. Okay, you've got some staff paper. That's great. But if you could just have a regular piece of paper, that's fine for tonight also. Okay, so next time we'll make sure that everybody has staff paper. But if you just have a regular paper for tonight, that's fine. So easy, easy. Let's draw 8 right side up notes. You can make them half notes, quarter notes, dotted. Okay, don't make them whole notes because that would mean that you're not going to put the stem on it. But let's do some quarter notes, half notes, or dotted half notes. And what's really important is that you start with the head. You always start drawing a note with the head. You never start drawing a note with the stem. So start by drawing the stem, and then you can go and add the stem after. Start by drawing the head and then the stem. So head first, and the stem, and then go ahead and draw 8 of those. Okay, I'll give you a chance to get all those put up. Whoever's on the iPad, and Mohammed, I'm going to ask you to please turn your camera on. I do need, thank you so much. Okay, Mohammed, please turn your camera on. Okay, so did you draw 8 of those? That's pretty easy. That's an easy exercise to do. So this should, your paper should look something like this, or maybe you've colored it in. That's perfect. And now let's do them upside down. So pretty simple. Same thing. You're going to start with the head and then draw the stem. And make sure the stem is on the left side this time, going down. Okay, so always you start with the stem and then the stem going down. Mohammed, could I just see your face before you go any further? And then after that, you can put your camera back up. I just want to make sure who it is because there's a lot of students in the school. And I'm not recording your face, by the way. Okay. Ah, parfait. C'est beau. Merci, c'est Ranim. Okay, perfect. Okay, bonjour, Ranim. Perfect. Okay, you can put it up to the sky. That's fine, as long as I know that it's you. Okay. And then you've drawn 8 of those. Perfect. Great. So that's an easy exercise to start. Pretty simple. Now let's look at rhythm. Okay. What does rhythm really mean? What are pulse and rhythm? So rhythm is the value of the note, how long a note would be. Okay. So if you've heard music, you've definitely heard music, you know that any type of music will have a pulse to it. Okay, so for example, if you're dancing to some music, okay, so let's go bum 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 bum. This would be the pulse of that piece of music. So it's basically something that we feel that is regular all the way through. A little bit like a clock. So you know how the clock is always even, tick, tock, tick, tock. That's a pulse. It's regular, it's even, and it's always the same. Okay, so that would definitely be a pulse. How about a truck that backs up? You know when a truck is backing up and we hear well, it's always the same, so that's also a pulse. Can you think of anything else that forms a pulse or that sounds like a pulse? Anything else? Think about it. Do you have an answer? If you have an answer, you can definitely unmute yourself. You're welcome to unmute and just say it.
The oven beeping?
The oven beeping, that's great, exactly, right? When you finish baking a cake and it goes beep, 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 that's a pulse. Okay, so that's pretty simple to hear that. So here we've got a quarter note. Now the quarter note equals 1 pulse. La, and it's over. La, and it's over. It's usually a short note. So if I had a pulse that was going at this speed, and I had all quarter notes, it would basically be fa, 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 fa. Those are all quarter notes. So they equal to 1 pulse. My half note equals 2 pulses. So 2 pulses, 1, 2, but not 2 notes. So it would be 1 sound that's equal to 2 pulses. So if my pulse is this, and I put a half note, la, and then it would end. La, and it would end. So 1, 2, and it would end. Okay, but not 2 sounds, just 1 sound. And we go on. The dotted half note would be 3. Ba, and it's over. Ba, and it's over. And the whole note is 4 counts. So same thing, 1 long sound. Ba, and over. In French, when I teach in French, it's I don't know, I think it's really easy in French to do rhythm because you can actually, the names of the notes go with how many, so the syllables work with the number of pulses. So the quarter note in French is called la noire. So I'll go noir, 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 noir. But then if I'm doing blanche, I'll do blanche, blanche, which is 1, 2. So that's easy. Same thing for this one. The dotted half note is called blanche pointée. So for some of you older kids on here, or older students on here, the dot, the way it works is, so you know that the dotted half note, the half note itself is 2 pulses. Well, the dot adds half of the note's value to it. So if the half note is 2, and we add half of 2 is 1, you end up with your 3. That's how we count that. That's what the dot does. The dot always adds half of the note's value. So you'll see in future classes that we're going to do together, if you have like a dotted quarter note or something, another value, a dotted whole note, which also exists, we're going to see how that dot relates to the note and then its value. So if I was doing this in French, I would do blanche pointée, blanche pointée. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the whole note, the 4, I break it down into ronde. It's a ronde in French. So I would say ronde longue, ronde longue. And that's where I get my 4 syllables. Okay, 4 syllables are going to equal to 4 pulses. So pretty simple. So let's try this together, okay? Let's do line number 1. And we're just going to clap it. And basically every time you've got a note, so I'm going to snap it so that I can follow with the cursor. And I just want you to clap along and be able to do it. So don't forget, when you get to the half note, you don't do 2, you hold it. So you would clap and hold it, or 1, 2. So let's give this a try. Let's start after 4. 1, 2, 3, let's clap. Dot. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I see some people clapping at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to hold that down. Let's try that one more time. Excuse me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool, eh? Let's try number 2. Let's do that one. Let's start this one after 3. Okay, so same thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that's how that would be done. I'm going to send this by email, so you'll be able to practice it if you want at home. Let's try number 3. I'm going to clap it this time, so I want your eyes to follow, okay? So you're not following the cursor. So here we go. Let's do number 3. We're going to start after, let's start after 4. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Who got it? Okay, pretty simple. Great. So here we go. Let's look at bar lines. Bar lines, double bar lines, repeat signs, and time signatures. So bar lines divide the music into measures or bars. Okay, so in English we actually have 2 names for those rectangles that you see in your music. So when you look at a sheet of music, you notice that every single line has rectangles on it. It's all divided into rectangles. And so those vertical lines that you see are called bar lines. And the bar lines divide the music into measures. So the space between one bar line and the other is called a measure. Sometimes we also refer to it as a bar. Both terms are acceptable. So you can say, the first measure, second measure. You can also say first bar, second bar. Both are acceptable vocabulary in music, okay? At the end of a musical piece, we always find the double bar line. So when you see a double bar line, that's the end. It's over, finished. So it's kind of like a story, and you get to the end of the story, and it says the end. Well, this is the end here. The repeat sign is a double bar line with 2 dots. So when we see this, we know, oh, there's going to be some starting over happening. We need to start something over again. We're going to have to play it twice. When the repeat sign is alone, when there's only one, it will face, like the 2 dots will always be on the left. And what that's doing is it's sending you back, all the way back to the beginning. So when there's only one, we repeat the music we've just played all the way back from the beginning of the piece. But when the repeat sign comes in pairs and they're facing each other like this, we would repeat the music that's between the two repeat signs. So you come in, oh, we've got this, we play through it, oh, it sends us back, we play through it a second time, and then we go on. Okay, so that's how repeat signs work. And I'm sure you've had that in your music already. Let's quickly look at time signatures also, okay? So the time signatures indicate how many beats or how many pulses there are in one measure, in one bar, in one of those boxes. So if I have a time signature, that's 3/4. So these resemble a lot for the older students on here. It resembles a fraction, okay? So here we've got 3 beats per measure, and the quarter note indicates 1 beat. If it's a 4/4, this is the most common. Okay, it's also called common time when we've got 4/4. It's called common time because that's the one that most composers use. So here we've got 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note indicates the beat. And this one, we would have 2 beats per measure. So you notice if here I had 3 beats, here I had 4 beats, here I had 2 beats, it means that the top number tells us how many beats are in a bar. The bottom number tells us which note has the value of the beat. So here it's a 4. That would mean the quarter note, la noire, okay, the quarter note equals 1 beat. That's not always the case. If the bottom number would be something else, then another note would have that value. And we're going to see that in future classes, but we need to start somewhere. So we're going to start with a 4 just to understand that the quarter note equals 1 beat. That's pretty simple so far. Okay, so let's go back to our sheet. And now we've got some time signatures. So this also you're going to get as a homework. If you want to do it, print it out, get it done. Okay, but let's do a little bit together here tonight. And some people are going to ask, I know in my other group, they asked, is homework, like, do I have to do my homework? Is it compulsory for me to do my homework? No, it's not. Just like practicing your instrument is not compulsory. You come to your lesson, you go home. If you practice, you're going to progress a lot faster. You're going to understand, you're going to be motivated, and you're going to be able to do more, interesting music. Well, it's the same thing with theory. If you don't do your homework, well, that's okay. I mean, this coming to this lesson is not compulsory. You don't have to come to this lesson. And we see tonight that there aren't that many people that came. But if you show up to your lesson and you do your work, well, you're going to be a step ahead of everybody else. And not only are you going to play better, well, you're going to understand what you're playing. Okay, so if you want to do your homework, you can print out your sheets that are going to be sent, get your homework done. You can definitely bring it into your teacher. See if your teacher, can correct it. It's going to take like a minute to correct the homework. And if not, if you want me to correct it, that's fine. Just drop it off at front desk with your name on it. I'll go through it and I'll send it back to you. I can scan it and send it back to you by email. Okay. So here, let's look at this. So it says here, add the bar lines to the following music, indicate the beats. So I want you to write the numbers underneath and remember to add a double bar line at the end. So here we have 4 beats per measure and the quarter note equals 1 beat. So if I was to add numbers, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there are my 4 beats. Let me draw my bar line. Let me draw my bar line right here. And then look at what happens here. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Draw my bar line. I've got 4. Let's go on. The half note is 2, so 1, 2. I've got another 3, 4. Draw my bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the end of my little number. So I draw my double bar line. Pretty simple. Let's do this one. This one has 3. I don't have the answer written up for this one, but we would do 1, 2, 3, draw the bar line. This one's 3, so 1, 2, 3, draw a bar line. 1, 2, 3, draw a bar line. 1, 2, 3, and it's the end, so I draw my double bar line. Pretty easy, right? So I will send this also for homework, okay? If you want to do it, you get it done, that's great. If you don't, then that's okay. But at least you learned a little bit of something tonight. So it explains things a little bit further. Now, I know that for some of you tonight, this was super easy. I know that, okay? I want it to be easy. I don't want anything to be hard for you, okay? But in future classes, so we're going to have another class. Every week we're going to have a class. If you miss class, you'll always have access to the recording. And the recording, you don't see anybody there. It's just going to be me, okay, and my board. Hopefully that worked. I'm going to double check that that's how I set it all up, okay? But you can access this again during the week. Look at it again. Ranim, nice smile. And just go ahead, go over it, do your homework if you want. But you're going to see that with every week, we're going to get to harder and harder stuff so that you understand it better when you come in and then do your class. So does that work for everybody? Does anybody have a question for me? We're good? Great. So now we're done. Okay? We're all cool? Great. So thank you for coming on tonight, because that shows me that you're dedicated to your music lesson, and it shows me that you're really dedicated to learning more and doing well in class, and that makes me very happy, and I'm sure that that makes everybody around you happy, and hopefully, it makes you happy as well, so that we get a chance to meet like this and stuff, okay? So we will be seeing you at your lesson this week, hopefully, if it hasn't gone by, if not, coming lesson, and then we'll see you again next week. Cool? All right. So thanks. Good night, everybody. And we'll see you soon, okay? Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, tout le monde. Bye, everybody.